I had the huge fortune of being able to attend Marvel's Black Panther panel at Comic-Con 2017, and really, more than anything, any casting announcement, promotional image, or even trailer, that panel was what sold me on this film. The immeasurable level of energy and passion, joy and pride that just exuded from that cast and that crew on that stage was just inspiring and magnetic, and I knew if the finished film could capture even a fraction of those feelings, it would be a rousing success. And indeed, the primary elements that I walked away from this latest entry in the MCU loving were those that were clearly imbued with that spirit. It was such a joy watching a film that wanted to and succeeded at doing more than merely fit into a larger cinematic universe, but embraced and showcased its unique visual flair, its varied and diverse characters, its brand new settings, and its surprisingly relevant themes and ideas. And in each of those areas, I could tell that they were being handled by and shaped by the ever-impressive Ryan Coogler, a filmmaker who both had the bravery and know-how to present a brand new, very satisfying standalone story in often new and satisfying ways. I never once found myself wondering, why isn't Iron Man showing up? Because he presented Black Panther in a way that I never once felt like he needed that support as a character or as a narrative. Coogler was always fully invested in the value of this story, and that invested me in it as well. And for me, in its best moments, the story that he was investing in and the character upon whom it centered was actually a very quiet and simple one. He didn't try to make T'Challa some wisecrack Iron Man or Doctor Strange type, or even some earnest Captain America type. He presented him as a king, strong, confident, and stoic. And as such, I didn't immediately identify with him or find myself able to exactly predict where his character arc would go, which in the end wound up being one of this film's greatest strengths, as the character's understanding of the world around him grew, as did mine. And as he gained new levels of insight, humility, and empathy, so did I along with him. And integral to that growth were this film's supporting characters and the actors that played them. Michael B. Jordan in particular just continued to knock it out of the park in this, his third Coogler film. Broken or not only was his worldview somewhat understandable, it was also boldly timely, which in a big blockbuster is such a difficult tightrope to walk. A tightrope that I did feel the filmmakers did successfully cross. Also, earlier in the film, when I wasn't fully able to empathize with T'Challa, there were the absolutely wonderful, charming, and fierce Lupita Nyong'o and Letitia Wright. Really, all the female cast imbued this film with such strength, gravitas, and spunk from start to finish. When it came to the action beats in this film, really the ones that stood out most to me were the ones that most clearly bore the marks of Ryan Coogler's style. There was one fight scene in particular that took place in a South Korean casino that involved this extended tracking shot that just felt both perfectly comic booky while also intense and real. Also, there were a handful of scenes that were just an absolute delight to behold visually, the filmmakers rendering their colors and designs in fantastically fresh and vibrant ways. I also have to give a shout out to the music. Though it never did quite present a memorable theme, its style and mode really did add an extra layer of beauty and cultural texture. Of course, this film wasn't perfect, and like I always say, no film ever is, but specifically with Black Panther, it was actually more of the mainstream blockbuster moments that sort of felt short for me, if only just a little. Within that, Coogler and Marvel made a handful of visual choices throughout the film that just couldn't help but pull me out of the film and detract from its overall effectiveness. One was simply the heavy use of green screen paired with a very specific style of cinematography and color grading. One that, unfortunately, too often in its very high-key lighting and vibrant colors just all the more reminded me that I was watching actors in costume perform stunts on a soundstage in front of a big green wall. Something else too, and I've seen this in Coogler's previous two films as well, was the shutter speed that he chose to utilize. Its perceivably high speed gave the images this really hyper crisp and unfortunately sometimes soap opera feel. Also, and numerous Marvel films have had this problem, but the instant that characters turn into complete CG doubles, their movements incongruent with their real-life counterparts, I can't help but disconnect just slightly. Structurally, the film was also just a little bit uneven, dragging in certain points. More specifically, there was an extended section 3/4 of the way through the film that, without spoiling it, just didn't carry the dramatic weight that I think the filmmakers wanted, ultimately just forcing us, the audience, to wait around for a number of minutes for what we knew was going to happen next. In the end, however, I cannot understate just how much the unique setting, characters, and plot of this film just lifted it up. I almost never felt what I have felt watching other MCU films like Doctor Strange, for example, which is Stephen Strange really is Tony Stark 2.0 and his arc a bit of a retread. With T'Challa and the world of Black Panther, I was really given something brand new and intriguing. So ultimately, even with its shortcomings, I cannot help but continue to marvel at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just great that it continues to invest whole films into new, different characters, refusing to look at the success of something like Guardians of the Galaxy and pivot all of their subsequent projects to ensure that they're checking these same boxes narratively and tonally. And really what that does is just continue to bring in new audiences to new films and introduce old audiences to new characters, which personally just leads me to be so excited for a film like Avengers: Infinity War. It will be truly a sight beholding all of these diverse characters who, regardless of their nationality, skin color, gender, or even species, choose to come together to create something much stronger than could have ever been created alone. And for all of these reasons, I will give the film a 3.5 out of 5 and a heart, a very big, passionate, joy-filled heart. Now, normally I would ask you guys to comment below and rank for me all of your Marvel Cinematic Universe films, but that list is just getting ridiculously long. So out of curiosity, how about just the top 5 in the MCU for you? Finally, please do subscribe. I'm going to continue to review films and television on this channel, and I would love for you to stay up to date on all of those things. But for now, I'm Chris Hartwell. This is The Heartbeat. Thank you for joining me.